Greetings and salutations, folks. My name is Nick, and welcome back to the Outer Worlds, where now it is time to deal with the consequences to our actions. Last time, I diverted the power from the geothermal plant to Edgewater, specifically because I looked up the consequences ahead of time. What happens when you divert power. And I feel as though diverting power to the deserters, while it is a nobler choice, it also forces you on a very specific path. And I feel as though you get more options by diverting the power to Edgewater instead. Let's talk to...
I think you did the rightest thing you could, sending the power back to Edgewater. A lot of people would have suffered otherwise. People I care for, even if they don't care much for me.
And we'll talk later. So Parvati approves. We have maintained her approval. Let us now leave this place and go talk to the deserters themselves. I think I may have upgraded my speech to enough that I might be able to talk my way out of these things. But let us find out. Alright, looks like everybody is camped around the campfire. The power is off. Hello, folks. It's just me.
Oh, that's Thomas. He used to follow me around before he left the cannery.
It's okay. One of us want to go see what happened?
Food's bound to spoil at this rate.
Yep.
What happened?
But I'm pretty sure she's figured out what happened.
That's the thing about growing old. Your eyes start to fail. Elsewise, I would have seen you for the snake that you are, chopped you into pieces and roasted you on a spit. This is all you're doing. Cutting off my power, killing off my garden. Without refrigeration, my food will spoil, and my flock will starve. I want to ask you this in private, away from the eyes of my flock, so they do not see me lose my temper. Tell me, why did you do it?
Huh. Reed needs his people back. This isn't personal. I need your power regulator. I don't owe you an explanation. Reed needs his people back.
You want my flock wasting their lives in that cannery? Fine. Go and talk to them. Go talk to Grace and Thomas. Look them in the eye and tell them their life here is over, and the only thing left to do is go back to Edgewater. This is now your responsibility. And you tell Reed Thompson that I will never return to Edgewater. I would rather die among my flowers than live under his management.
Let's see. I'll be dealing with Reed for you. You're unreasonable. Come back to Edgewater. What happened to you, Adelaide? All this anger had to come from somewhere. I'm willing to deal with Reed for you. I don't really like Reed myself. So, I'm willing to deal with Reed for you.
You offering to cross Reed off, huh? This some sort of twisted reparation for what you've done? Or are you just looking for a chance to sow some chaos?
Both?
Kill Reed if you must, or talk him into leaving if you can. He and I are not sharing the same four walls together.
Reed isn't going to just leave his post. I'll need some help convincing him.
Tell Reed that I can make his people healthy again. I can end their plague. Start a new garden right in the cannery. 3 square meals for every man and woman in Edgewater. Tell him how I've made the Vale bloom again. The soil has whispered its secrets to me, and I alone know how to breathe life back into the earth.
You know, she would seem a little bit more convincing if she wasn't surrounded by red light.
I've been grinding them up in my fertilizer for years. Marauder, worker, don't matter much to me. The human body is rich with nutrients.
I spoke far too soon. What happens when you run out of corpses?
Edgewater Cemetery's got corpses aplenty. Enough for a generation's worth of crops.
So, they've been eating people. Great. Or at the very least, they've been eating plants grown from... Alright, what happened to you, Element? That, anger had to come from somewhere.
When the plague started coming, he was one of the first to fall sick. We had a store of medicine locked away, but Reed refused to treat him. Said my boy didn't deserve treatment. Said the medicine would have been wasted on him. So I buried my boy in the cemetery, gathered my belongings, and left. That's as much of the story as you need to hear.
Okay. Still treats the living better than Reed treats the living, and treats the dead better than the town treats the dead, I suppose.
I know, I'm trying to think.
Everybody keeps staring at me. It's not my fault the power's dead. Whoa, Miss Parvati. How are you? Hi. Hello.
Thomas, hold yourself together.
Are things safe out here? How are you keeping?
Great, just great. I've been trying to keep stuff running, just like you. Only I'm not so... Wait, they didn't kick you out, did they?
Oh gosh, no. I'm just along with this lady here.
I seen you wandering around here. You don't look like you're coming from town.
I'm just trying to get my ship off the ground. I don't want to be on this Edgewater planet.
Never heard it phrased in such a way before. I guess we're all trying to get our ships off the ground, ain't we? Sorry, I just wasn't sure if you were from town or if you were one of us. Something's been chewing at me, you see. Fact is, I've been, well, lying. To everybody here. Camp thinks I'm a mechanical genius, but I couldn't fix a busted chair.
Never too late to start learning. I could give you some pointers. Yeah, sure, why not?
I'll take all the help I can get. I set my mind to learning the craft of the engineer, you see. I want to make something of myself.
You know, Thomas,
Whoever
good luck.
heard of the Young Spacer's Guide to Mechanical Engineering? Comes in a set of 3. If I had my hands on one of those data pads, I could teach myself the ins and outs.
I think I have one of
Those are
those.
good. My dad kept a copy with him when he was working in the cannery.
I know the old community center kept a copy. Should find another one back in town. If you could find me even one of those pads, I'd be greatly obliged.
Today's your lucky day, Thomas. I've got one of those data pads you wanted.
No kidding. Really? Well, which one?
Part 1. Found it in the community center.
Look at that. Building a computing machine out of Spectrum potatoes, a primer. I'm just glad it survived all these years. I appreciate you going through all that trouble. In fact, I put aside something special, on the off chance that somebody'd search out those data pads for me.
Hold on, I've got more for you.
Well, don't keep me in suspense.
The elusive Part 3. Someone stashed it away inside the old geothermal plant.
The geothermal plant? Now that is just incredible! You really went exploring down there? Adelaide always told us it was swarming with hostile mechanicals.
And it was.
2 whole data pads? Be still my beating heart. Oh, almost forgot your payment.
Alright, I'll let you know if I find any others.
Sure, I'd be glad to take them off your hands.
I should go. I'm going to go find the others. Where is the quest? And I will get going. Oh, okay. So it's literally just inside the cannery. Do I have an easy way to get up to the 2nd floor? Yes, I do. And nobody seems to mind me running around grabbing things. Oh, nope, that is not on this side. There we go. From the office of Reed Thompson Outpost Administrator, symptoms of infection have now reached a critical mass. I've instructed our staff to transfer the old domicile into a sick house. Plague is a reality of life on the frontier, and as spacers, we are expected to face up to reality. And the reality is that we do not carry enough medicine to treat all of you. Medical treatment is a privilege, not a right. We must strive every day to demonstrate our worthiness of that privilege. If you find yourself suffering the symptoms of incipient plague, the best you can do for yourself and your family is to don your jumpers and come to work. Work fortifies the spirit. Physical illness recapitulates spiritual weakness. Wow. That is pretty awful. Alright, let's bring this guy the third copy of this collection of engineer manuals.
Any luck finding one of those manuals?
Today's your lucky day. I've got one of those manuals you want.
Really? Well, which one?
Part 2. I found it in the cannery.
Ain't that just ironical? If I'd worked a little longer back at the cannery, I might have found this myself. That's a complete set. All 3 parts. I'm gonna be the greatest engineer Halcyon's ever seen.
Well, I doubt that there's... Halcyon as a collective. Never mind.
I swear, I'll do you proud.
I'm glad we could help, Thomas.
I've been saving something for you. Just a little contraption I found. Should fit right into your outfit.
Alright. You won't survive without power. It's time to go back to Edgewater.
I've been thinking about going back. I'm not much use to anybody here. I get sick thinking about working at the cannery. I can't do that again.
So don't work in the cannery. You wanted to be an engineer.
You know something? I think you're right. The town could use another engineer, and I'm on my way to becoming one. I could do a lot of good in Edgewater. Maybe even keep a garage of my own with a little workbench and my very own toolbox. It's just...
It would be a toolbox with all the sorts of tools I'd need.
Not in 100 years. I go crawling back to my old life in Edgewater, and I'm as good as dead to her.
Stay put. I'm gonna try to talk Reed into stepping
You know where to
down.
find me.
And I should go. Maybe I should do that first. I'm gonna go do that first. Before I talk to anybody else. Alright. Let us hop in the elevator. And make our way up to the top. Because I feel like Pravati makes a good point about like the people of Edgewater. The people might be good. But Reed Thompson is not.
This is a fine day, friend. Power flows through our town like a cool stream of water. I trust Adelaide's people have seen their way to reason. So, when can I expect them back at their posts?
I wanted to talk to you about something, actually.
Go ahead.
Have you taken a look around your town lately?
It is my job to keep 2 eyes on my town. I am the steward of this place, and this is my watch post.
How long have you worked here?
I'm trying to remember 25 years, 26. When you get to my age, the years just rush by. You stop counting altogether. I remember looking out this window and seeing the veils spread out from horizon to horizon. We were a sprawling town. We were booming. Times change, people change, but the veil will always be here. Spacer's choice will always be here. Our work won't ever end. I take comfort in that.
Really? Your town is falling to pieces.
I wish you wouldn't say things like that.
It's true. Doesn't make it any less true.
I expect you wouldn't understand. You don't see the town as I do. When I stand at my window and look out over my town, here's what I see.
At my
I see
town?
decent, loyal, hard-working people. I see a family. We are all part of the Spacer's Choice family. We are all doing what we were brought into this world to do.
You're loyal to Spacer's Choice. This is a
This is
statement.
the Spacer's Choice town. We're all part of the Spacer's Choice family here. The company keeps us warm, keeps us fed, keeps us working. Loyalty's got nothing to do with it, friend. This is good old-fashioned gratitude.
Let me ask you something
Go
else.
ahead.
What makes you think I can convince these deserters to come back?
That you are not one of us may work to your advantage. Adelaide and her folk loathe the people of Edgewater, you see. I admit the fault was mine. I'm about as diplomatic as a bristling canid. I just hope Adelaide and her folk will see their way past my flaws and return to town.
This is an ugly place to live. Of course people are going to walk away.
Nature is uglier. There is safety here. Safety and purpose. But not all of us see that. And I cannot force that vision upon them. Yes, we have lost good workers to desertion. We have lost even more to plague. But it is why we must square our shoulders and carry on.
Yeah, but, like, if you've lost people to plague, like, you shouldn't... Your focus shouldn't be on, like, getting the work done. You and Adelaide have a personal history?
Losing Adelaide was the hardest. She was our only flavor specialist. When she walked away, I knew we were in trouble.
Flavor specialist?
Spacer's Choice Saltuna is renowned across the system for its quality flavors and additives. We used to sell citrus-flavored Saltuna in our heyday. Ever since Adelaide left, we have been reduced to selling unflavored and spearmint.
Let me ask you something
Go ahead.
else. You seem pretty fixed on bringing Adelaide back to town.
Adelaide was our only flavor specialist. We are a Saltuna canning institution. Saltuna without flavor is like a cysty pig without tumors, borderline inedible.
I don't even... Don't you people eat anything other than Saltuna?
Were it up to me, friend, I'd stack our larders with Saltuna galore. No other brand of Saltuna adds as much vim or vigor to the body's humors. But, and this is something we must keep between the two of us, Saltuna is hard to come by, what with being a species indigenous to the seas of another world.
Hang on. What are you canning here if...
Oh, we've scavenged together some organic material from the surrounding environs. Mostly organic, mostly local mushrooms. Some of which possess a texture akin to a well-boiled slab of Saltuna. The difference is all but impossible to detect to any but the prissiest of palate. Go ahead.
Okay, let me ask you some... We need to have a word about this plague.
Can we not? Talking about unpleasant things always gets my bile up.
Yeah, but people are dying. You withhold medicine from your own workers.
If I had enough medicine to treat everyone who fell sick, I would, but I don't. I can't save everyone. So I have to choose.
You let Adelaide's son die, though.
Adelaide's son was barely competent. I treat him with our medical rations, and it looks like I'm playing favorites.
Yeah, but Adelaide was also the only
Understand the
flavor
suffering Adelaide
specialist,
must have
I
felt
guess.
on account of losing her child, but she is not the only one to have felt such suffering. I wish she had stayed with us. Adelaide left us when we needed her most.
How long has this plague been happening?
That I cannot say. There was no moment when the plagues began. Disease always lurks on the fringes of society, waiting to infect the idle and the lethargic. But in the last 10 years, the plagues have become progressively worse and increasingly frequent.
The plagues? Plural? You should have developed an immunity after repeated exposure to a single strain of contagion.
Corporate doesn't like us using the word should. It encourages the imagination. I believe plague is a test. It is a test of our loyalty and our fortitude, and it is one we will see through to the end.
Huh.
Go ahead.
I thought I would have an option to, talk Reed out of being here, but for some reason that option has not shown up. Let's see, Adderley, you may have luck convincing some other deserters after Spring Thomas. Or he wants to move back to Edgewater. Let's see.
I appreciate what you've done for us.
Oh, okay. I spoke to Adelaide. She won't come back as long as you're here.
Then we are at an impasse. Stewardship over this town has been entrusted to me by Spacer's Choice. I am not perfect. I have made my share of mistakes, but I have done my best for this town.
The town's a mess, Reed. The town's terrified of the plague. Abernathy asks... Oof, all of these are good points. The town's terrified of the plague. Abernathy asked me to steal... Let's see, your town's a mess, Reed.
I have been holding this town together with both hands. You can't just expect me to leave.
Yes, I can.
I am a Spacer's Choice man. My father was a Spacer's Choice man. Edgewater may not look like much to some buttoned-up freelancer, but it is my home.
Adelaide's people aren't getting sick with the plague.
I don't believe you. Plague's a reality of life. Best treatment is a good work ethic.
This town doesn't... Have you people ever eaten an actual vegetable?
The very notion is just grotesque. A raw vegetable? Why don't you just ask me to go chew the bark off of a tree? We are a Spacer's Choice Saltuna cannery. We eat Saltuna here, and only Saltuna.
I'm pretty sure that's what's making you sick, because one, you really shouldn't have just Saltuna. That's it? Just Saltuna every single day? I know, you fill your cans with anything you can salvage. It's not healthy.
Health is a state of mind, friend. Afflictions in one's body are reflections of afflictions in one's work ethic and attitude. Now listen, I do not know what pretty rhetoric Adelaide has fed you, but plagues are a simple fact of life.
Adelaide's found a way to grow food. She'll come back if you step down.
You will excuse me for being skeptical. How exactly is Adelaide growing crops in barren soil?
She's been using a human corpse. Look, all I know is that it involves really complicated math, and it works.
If Adelaide's found a way to feed her people and cure the plague, then she deserves this office more than I do. I won't stand in her way. My life here is ended. Give me a little time to settle my affairs. I'm sure Adelaide will be glad to see the back of me.
What are your plans?
A couple months ago, I might have put in for a transfer. It's a big colony. Spacer's Choice has other towns. Now, I couldn't show my face in any of them.
Why not?
No such thing as an honorable resignation. Suppose I could find a place outside the walls, or put in for early retirement.
Yeah, you won't last a day outside the walls, you know?
I don't know. I could see myself lasting a week.
That's not exactly a long-term plan. This can't be easy for you.
I have always tried to do right by my town. It has never been easy.
Yeah, take care. Alright, let's level up, and then I will head over to the deserters. Alright, appears that it doesn't necessarily need me to talk to either of these people. Let us talk.
Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what to do is all.
Let's see, I want to ask you
What's on your
something.
mind?
Never mind. So probably because I talked to Reed first, as opposed to talk to them to go back. This enables Adelaide to essentially
Yeah.
take the reins.
The snakes come back.
I talked Reed into leaving. Come back to Edgewater.
I never thought I'd see the day that Reed Thompson abandoned his post. Suppose we all have a breaking point. Suppose it's time our flock made our way back to Edgewater. We must tend to what remains of the town and carry on with our lives as best we may.
Also, it would be safer to defend the town as opposed to the camp.
One hand helping us with the other. Here, I'm giving you something to leave us be. It's a ransom, you understand, not a reward.
Edgewater is better off with you running the place. This is true.
You telling me you did all this just to put me in charge of Edgewater? Stranger, you are some kind of twisted.
You're not wrong.
Might turn that old cannery into a garden. Got ourselves a whole cemetery bursting with bodies. I need some time to gather my personals. Long walk back to Edgewater. Got a considerable burden to carry.
There we go. The power regulator has now been reclaimed. Or acquired. Let's see. Okay, so no botched quests just yet. But we are done with the main quest here. Let us go back to camp. And fix the ship. It's about time. Yeah, so apparently, like, Adelaide claims that there's enough bodies to keep the garden going for one generation. Which, in theory, would they be able to kind of solve that problem for any future generations? Maybe. But the reliance on Saltuna in this area is definitely a problem in its own right. The fact that the Saltuna isn't even made of a species of that planet is incredibly problematic.
Handsome. Does she have a name yet? What's her drive model? Oh, gosh. Listen to me babbling. When I was in Edgewater, I dreamed of flying on a real ship, working on a real engine, belonging to a proper crew. I'm the only decent mechanic Edgewater's got, but every time I think of going back, I get this sinking feeling.
I can understand not wanting to go back. You didn't seem happy on Edgewater, let alone confident in yourself.
Well, it's kind of you to say that. And you're right. I wasn't happy. I want to ask you something, and you can say no. But can I come with you? I could tend to your engine. I know my G-valves for my catalyzers, and I can keep your ship singing. And if you ever need a pair of eyes watching your back, I can do that too. What do you think?
I'm glad to have you along. Pick a cabin, it's yours.
Yes. I mean, thanks.
Wait, have I picked my own cabin yet?
Captain. I can call you Captain now. Ha! I got a captain.
All right, let's put this power regulator in place. Oh yeah, the vicar.
I certainly am looking forward to flying on a ship named the Unreliable. I'll just head upstairs and claim a room.
Captain, I have detected that Edgewater's power supply is now optimal. I applaud your willingness to invest your time in the local community. What can I do for you, Captain?
I have the power regulator.
Do you know how to install a power regulator?
No. Oh, yes, I do. Yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Outstanding, Captain. Your aptitude for engineering will prove invaluable in the event of another catastrophic engine failure. Our engine room is located behind you. Across the cargo bay, up the ladders.
All right, I'll be back. And then space. Truly, once we're done installing the power regulator, turn the engines back on, we will be able to get to the one place uncorrupted by capitalism.
That was a good thing you did, Captain. Helping to bring the deserters and Edgewater folks back together. I hope you rest well on that.
I will. Thomas seemed very fond of you.
He's just interested in fixing stuff. He always used to follow me around, asking me to explain what I was doing. Like a puppy, kinda.
Yeah, I don't see that relationship going anywhere. The tool he was thinking with was definitely not a wrench.
Thomas always listened to me. Never said I was odd, never tried to... I just want to think of him like that.
Okay. That's fair. Like, I'm sure there are people you know in which you don't necessarily want to to consider your relationship with them as something down a road of perversion. Let's see what Ada has to say.
What can I do for you, Captain?
I've installed the power regulator.
All systems are operating within acceptable parameters. I am prepared to bring the Unreliable into low-altitude orbit. This should prove an adequate test of our flight capabilities.
All right. Let's get out of here. Excellent. Against all odds, the Unreliable takes flight. Yeah, I mean, I suppose the odds would be against you. If, if you crash land on any planet in the middle of nowhere, like, how can you guarantee that the planet you land on has civilization? How can you guarantee the planet you land on has parts for your ship? Like, that would be extremely problematic if you landed on a planet, one, that didn't have any people on it, so you'd somehow have to MacGyver a power regulator based on the flora and fauna and whatever beasts happen to be there.
We have received a communication request from Dr. Phineas Wells.
Good. I've been waiting to hear from him.
Aha, there you are. Hale and hearty and captain of your own ship. I see you're putting the Unreliable to good use. Shame about her former captain. Horrible way to die. How are you feeling, by the way? I lost track of you in that cave back there. Experiencing any unnatural drippage? Perfectly normal side effect of thawing, I assure you.
I've been feeling a little lightheaded. Also, I can slow down time, or at the very least, my perception of time, which is a little bit different.
Oh, that, yes, that's probably permanent. I wouldn't worry about it, though. I'm sure you're fine. What you saw in Emerald Vale is happening all across the colony. Food shortages, lack of supplies, and basic necessities. We're dying. The chairman, the minister, and all their lackeys on the board are to blame. The Hope has some of the brightest minds Earth ever sent us. If we can revive the Hope's colonists, they can help us undo the board's mistakes. They can help us set things right. You need to get to Stellar Bay on Monarch. I have contacts there. They'll help me, help us, find the chemicals to revive your fellow colonists. Gladys Kelly, lovely woman, runs a cozy little black marketing outfit on the Groundbreaker. She can get you a nav key to land on Stellar Bay.
Why do I need a nav key to land on a planet?
Strictly speaking, Monarch is a moon, terraformed badly, and almost completely lawless. You'll love it. Captains don't fly their own ships, you see. Your navigation terminal handles the, navigation. Think of a nav key as a set of flight instructions. The board's been confiscating nav keys for Stellar Bay, so we must rely on unconventional means of acquisition. Hence, Miss Gladys Kelly.
All right. Right. Fine. I'll go have a word with Gladys.
Excellent. I'll send her a wireless. Let her know you're coming. By the way, I gave Captain Hawthorne a disguise apparatus of my own design, cutting-edge technology years ahead of its time. I call it the holographic shroud. I'm sure it will prove remarkably useful to you. You'll find it in the captain's quarters.
What is, you want to explain what a holographic shroud is?
Marvelous device. I'm quite proud of myself. The shroud changes the user's appearance to mimic that of another. It has limits. First-generation technology, you see, but promising. Exciting to see it in use at last. Very simply, the holographic shroud uses biometric information contained on standard identity cartridges to generate a holographic projection around you.
You mentioned that this thing has limitations.
Only stands up to a casual scrutiny. Use it too long, bound to flicker, blur, something like that. Movement makes it more likely.
Oh, so maybe I can use that to sneak around, that sort of thing.
When you see guards in your path you can't sneak past, for example. Maintain your distance. Act normal. No running, no jumping. Don't draw their attention. If they pay attention, they're more likely to notice flaws in the hologram.
Ah, okay. So essentially this creates a situation in which I can disguise myself Hitman-esque to get around. Why do I need a gadget for this? Couldn't I just steal a uniform or something?
A change of clothes. What is this? Some old spy serial? What inattentive and brainless guard would be fooled by such a shabby disguise? The holographic shroud masks not only your clothes, but your face and fingerprints. It modulates your voice and sweetens your breath.
Oh, okay. How the hell does a hologram sweeten your breath? That is a good question.
Science, that's how.
Oh, okay. I'll put it to good use. Thanks.
Excellent. I'll contact you once you've found a way to get to Stellar Bay. If you have any questions, come see me in my lab. And remember, don't trust the board. They'll try to win you over with promises of wealth and power, but it's a lie. The board's only interested in filling their own pockets. If we don't put a stop to them, they're going to run this colony to the ground.
Transmission ended. If you are ready to depart, please select a destination on your navigation terminal.
Got it. All right. So apparently there is the holographic shroud, which looks like it's upstairs. I don't know. That could have been better. Upstairs here. Is this my room? Adelaide's deserters dreamed of an independent life without board oversight. You taught them an important lesson. Never dream. Ugh. Messages from Alex Hawthorne. Huh. Oh, I forgot to mention in my previous message, silly me, I'm mailing you a copy of my favorite serial, The Space Adventures of Singularity Steel. It's about a dashing space pirate with a heart of, well, steel. It's not exactly board approved, so don't you go showing it around your spacer buddies. I hope it'll amuse you while you're out adventuring. Okay, let's deal with that later.
Make yourself at home, Captain.
Pick up a holographic shroud. Projects a disguise on you and your companions, gives you access to restricted areas, provided you have the correct ID cartridge for that area. Restricted areas are off limits to unauthorized personnel and otherwise result in being attacked on sight. All right. Now, where is the vicar's room and where is... Okay. And where is Parvati's room? A stern older man with warm eyes. Why, hello.
As always, I am at your disposal. Anything you'd like to discuss?
Okay. I'd like to know about those I'm flying with. What's your story?
Nothing too out of the ordinary. Just your run-of-the-mill vicar with a violently enthusiastic disposition.
Violently enthusiastic disposition?
That's what my parents
What does
called
that mean?
I grew up in a pit of a town, much like Edgewater. I was destined to be a laborer like my parents, but I was infected early with a need to solve the equation. My passion didn't sit well with them.
Why were you so passionate about it?
My parents, ironically. They internalized the precepts of scientism like no one I've ever known. They had a pure faith, a faith that brought joy to them regardless of the situation. I envied that. I wanted that peace. I thought if I became a vicar, I could find it. Or at the very least, find out why I lacked it.
But weren't they proud when you became a vicar then, at least?
They thought I was fighting the plan, should have accepted my lot. Some people pursue the clergy for power, prestige, but that was not me.
What's this plan you keep talking about? That is a good question.
The simple version is this. The force which we call the Grand Architect created the universal equation that underlies and defines everything in the universe. Everything flows from the equation, or in layman's terms, the grand plan. Is the Grand Architect a consciousness? A natural force? Did it create the equation on purpose? The answers to these questions don't really matter. The equation, the plan, is all that matters. Contentment is found by accepting one's role in the plan.
Though I suppose at that point then it's like, it's not really the important part of understanding the existence of the plan as much as understanding how to control the equation. If you can't help but follow the plan, then everything you do is part of it, right?
The plan is not one rigid path. There are a variety of multitudes contained within it. Our paths have variance, but we'll end up adhering to it, whether we like it or not. Some choices make the path smoother, some rougher. You can even go outside the lines, but the further outside you go, it's like an unbreakable elastic band. It will only stretch so far before it snaps back. The further it is stretched, the more violent the eventual correction.
But then how do you know if you're stretching the plan if you don't know what the plan is? How do you know if you're breaking the equation? Well, I suppose that same analogy could be used as a kind of a analogy as an equation. Like, if you're trying to balance out two sides of an equation, the more you imbalance one side means the more you have to imbalance the other side in order to correct itself. Seems quite trusting of you just to sign on without knowing anything about me.
I have run headlong into too many walls in my pursuit of the truth. This book is my last hope, and you were my only hope of getting it translated.
What if the book doesn't have the answers you're looking for?
I honestly don't know what I'd do. This quest has consumed me for the better part of my life. I fear there's nothing else left to me. What about you? What's your story?
I was a colonist on Hope. A scientist named Wells saved it. That's the truth. I'm going to give him the truth. He's my crew.
And how did he do that?
He stole my body from the Hope at the edge of the colony and thawed me out.
Well, you do seem different than every other colonist. Let's pretend for the moment I believe you. What are you going to do now?
I'm helping him recover more of the chemicals he needs to save the rest of the colonists.
That seems a dangerous proposition. Why risk your life now that it's been returned to you?
I had family on the Hope. My friends are on the Hope. Just because it's the right thing to do. I don't know. My friends are on the Hope.
Oh, I see. You have my condolences.
All right, that creates a different thing. I didn't expect the idea that you would actually be presented with the idea that you could know people who were on that ship with you. That you're not just a blank slate. Tell me about the book we picked up that's in French.
Bakonu, the author, had some interesting theories about man's perception of reality that I thought could be applied to our attempts to decipher the plan. Unfortunately, he was also one of the founders of the Philosophist school of thought, so the book is banned in this colony.
What were your thoughts on Philosophists?
Philosophism's a false religion that stands in contradiction to almost everything we know to be true. They believe all is chaos, in stark contrast to OSI's belief in the plan. But most of the philosophist perversion of Bakonu's thoughts came more than a century after his death.
Any idea where we can find someone who speaks French in this colony?
I've been thinking on that. There's a former infamous philosopher scholar who fled Terra 2 some years ago. He's an expert on Bakonu. He's also who told me of the journal's presence in Emerald Vale. If anyone in this colony could translate that book, it would be him.
A former what now?
You caught me. Listen, the OSI frowns on fraternization with philosophists. I'd like to keep my associations with our scholar friend quiet.
Let's see. That sounds like a good lead, but how do we find him?
That's a good question.
Oh, you don't know.
We should start on the Groundbreaker. It's where I'd go if I wanted to get off Terra 2. Great place to pick up a ride to Hephaestus, Scylla, even Monarch. All I need is access to a data cartridge from the security terminal. Their easily hackable system keeps a registry of all crew manifests for both arrivals and departures.
How will a crew manifest help us track down your... How is it that a simple vicar happens to be such a highly skilled hacker?
Before I transferred to Edgewater, I had a wealth of time to develop certain, secular skills during my years serving a particular penitentiary flock. I meditated, led sermons, provided guidance to the inmates as needed, of course. I also played prison yard tossball and taught myself a bit about computronic security systems.
All right. Sounds good. Let's go.
Thank you, Captain.
And let's go talk to Parvati, and I think that is going to be all the time we have tonight. Just a big ol' episode of conversations. But I suppose, maybe that's in the nature of this game. Oh, hello, Parvati.
I could probably spend years fixing this boat, stem to stern.
Yeah, break time's over. I guess Parvati's got nothing new to say. That is fine. So, in that case, I think this was going to be where I stop for the night. If you got any suggestions for someone to play next, leave them down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have yourselves a good night.